It was being a family doctor in a community, managing thousands of patients and watching people get sicker over time, and having a lot of people who didn't necessarily have diagnoses, just not having good well-being, fatigue, brain fog, depression, anxiety, migraines, fibromyalgia, gut issues. It was just on and on. It wasn't really what I expected when I'd gone to medical school. I had thought thought about the old-fashioned family doctor in a town, treating you when you're sick and maybe making sometimes some diagnoses that are important, and then sewing up lacerations and draining abscesses and resetting broken bones and things like that. And I still got to do plenty of that, but most of my time was in just consult after consult with people who weren't doing well. And after about 5 years of getting my feet, because the first 5 years, you just have imposter syndrome. You can't believe people are trusting you to make medical decisions for them. You're young and you're going to the hospital. Back then, we still went to the hospital. So your life is chaotic and everything like that. But you learn a lot. But after that time, you start to have a little more bandwidth. And it just didn't seem normal to me. So for me, it wasn't like a decision of, hey, I need to go study functional medicine. I never did any formal functional medicine certifications or anything of that sort. It was I've got to find solutions for people because they have lives to live and they have health problems. And so we're going to have to dig deeper because the toolbox that I've been given through my medical training is insufficient to solve the problems. And so I just began experimenting, and patients were willing. They didn't feel good. So a lot of it was lifestyle. A lot of it was beginning to understand the impact of the food and the environment, stress, screens on individuals, and doing some counseling and saying, test this out. See, a lot of times with a heavy population, no pun intended, of diabetics, and beginning to see the evidence on low carbohydrate, high fat diets for reversing insulin resistance, and saying, why don't we give this a try? And it would work. People would get healthier, and we could measure that and they could feel that. And so it just kept deepening and deepening over the last 10 years. This significant increase in autoimmune diseases and chronic inflammatory conditions and neurodegenerative diseases have pushed me even more to have to go deeper into what are the diagnostics, what are the tools we have to assess the internal environment of a human system and identify what's missing and what's in there that shouldn't be so we can fix it. So it was really just what I think is a natural evolution of somebody who is a physician or any practitioner that is involved in human healing.
This is what the audience knows. This is why I can't get into story-based questions when I'm on or I have someone on for a different topic, because I just get too curious and I love the story. So I promise I allow myself only one follow-up here. And here's the thing though, because even the way that you just said that at the end, I can tell how genuine that is. But it's just, oh yeah, of course that's the evolution that you would take. But that's not true in reality. Not everyone does what you're doing. And in fact, I feel like people sometimes even become more solidified in the Western philosophy to the point where I'm not saying all of them do this at all, but many clients and patients end up almost feel like they're being gaslit, right? This whole medical gaslighting thing is a huge term in the space because they feel like they are completely invalidated from their symptoms. Not that I want to make you seem so special, even though you seem pretty cool, but I have to ask, that to me does not seem like what everyone else is doing or the logical evolution that they take. So why is it that someone like you is seeing the same things, people just getting sicker and sicker, that all these other professionals are seeing, and yet you take a different path and so many are not open to that? And I want to ask you directly because I probably have a negative bias that I shouldn't have. So maybe there's a more positive outlook on why some of these professionals never really change their ways.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And it's one that I've asked myself a lot because I do teach clinicians. I was teaching the audience at Hicks was mostly clinicians, whether they were nutritionists or they were physicians or others, and teaching on cellular biology. We're deep science, deep scientific concepts that impact human health. Nobody could argue that what we were presenting wasn't solid biomedical science and very important. But I think what was unique for me that I started my own little practice. And so I had some autonomy over how I was going to work and what I was going to do. And during that period of time, right when I came out, there was a transition in healthcare. We were just beginning to get to the point where the insurance companies were really beginning to enter into the office visits with us in the coercive way. And that exponentially multiplied over the next 7 to 10 years.
Okay.
And so clinicians, so I'll be quick because I know we want to talk about GLPs, but up until COVID, I was still teaching medical students from Chapel Hill and East Carolina. They'd come do 6-week rotations, family medicine rotations with me. And I would meet these incredible people. They were so bright and curious, and I thought, man, the future of medicine is good. I was like, I don't think I was that smart when I was at that stage. They really impressed me. And then I realized later, as I kept up with them, that the evolution of a medical career was you went through your residency and then you took an employment job with either a large corporate healthcare conglomerate or a hospital owned system. And then essentially what happens is you get turned into a high skill factory worker. That's it. And I think it ends up pulling out the curiosity and the passion, because the students that were with me were curious, passionate, open minded people. And in medicine, when I went through my training, you were taught to question everything. And even the things you thought were rock solid, you had to question and wonder if they're true. And now we have this system where it's very dogmatic. And I do believe that a lot of that is just simply driven by financial interests. There are a
Gotcha.
lot, it's $1 trillion health pot and $1 trillion money pot. And there are some controlling entities of that money pot, and they have no interest in changing the status quo whatsoever.
Okay.
And
Thank
and
you
I
for
think
hearing me on that. No, I'm glad I asked that question because again, yeah, you just seem like a humble guy that's saying it like matter of fact. Oh, of course I'm going to evolve in that way. That's not what I've seen at all. I'll never forget. It was around episode 100, so 300 episodes ago, and Dr. Kieran Dunstan was on, and she was an OBGYN by trade and changed her whole philosophy on this stuff. And I remember asking her so optimistically, she's pretty serious. I'm like, Dr. Dunstan, what can we do to help other medical professionals see things like you? She's like, Evan, they're not going to change unless something happens to them. And I'm like, oh God. But then people like you inspire me because it's not like you were sitting here, it doesn't seem, at least, with severe health issues of your own. It's just common sense. What I'm doing and what I'm telling these patients to do maybe is working some of the time, but not working others. I just get curious about why that might not be working. Seems to
yeah,
make sense to me.
I think anybody, any professional, whatever it is, your craft, you want to see that it's effective, that it benefits. And when you go in every day and you manage a population of patients who just keep feeling worse and getting sicker, like that's not satisfying. And it's very inconsistent with human design, because in medical school, you do a deep dive into human design. The core curriculum of medical school, genetics and molecular biology and biochemistry and medical anthropology and anatomy and physiology, it's phenomenal. It's fascinating. And you learn how these systems are built and how they have adapted over time to all kinds of different environments and stressors and circumstances. And you realize this is a robust, resilient machine. It's brilliantly designed, and it should be able to, especially in environments where a lot of the things that used to affect our mortality have been controlled for to some extent, we should be experiencing peak health and performance right now, not be in this state. And so anyway, yeah, and I think most people feel this way. You want your work to be effective.